strategists considered as support to the amphibious landing forces. As Eisenhower familiarized himself with the early Overlord plan, he was at least willing to listen to a larger airborne component of Neptune, the cross-channel phase of the Normandy attack. Ridgway and Taylor refused to stand down. They argued hard in meeting after meeting to convince the strategists that without a sizable airborne invasion in order to secure Utah Beach before the landings, the entire operation could fall apart on the first day. Ridgway and Taylor, friendly but not friends, formed a strong alliance. They pushed back against detractors who lectured that an airborne drop in Normandy would cause more than 70% casualties, perhaps higher, and they won the argument. Their thinking benefited from the support of Chief of Staff George C. Marshall and First Army's General Omar Bradley. Bradley's support took the form of a threat to call off the Utah Beach assault unless his infantry divisions had full support from the 82nd and 101st Divisions. During the closing hours of June 5, 1944, Ridgway, Taylor, and 13,000 paratroopers aboard 820 Douglas C-47 transport airplanes, the workhorse of the Army Air Forces, took off from airfields throughout southern England. C-47s, flying in V formations of 9 planes each, reached Normandy's Cotentin Peninsula 90 minutes later. There they encountered intense flak from German anti-aircraft guns. As the planes approached the landing zones, the signal lights above the doorways flashed green. Jump masters ordered the soldiers to stand up, hook up, and jump out. Jump masters dropped first, followed by the paratrooper sticks, typically 17 or 18 men. Flying at a low altitude to avoid the enemy's radar, they exited the planes in many instances at only 400 feet above ground, that was to have been marked by Pathfinder lights and navigational aids. The airborne troops were part of U.S. 7 Corps, commanded by General J. Lawton Collins. Their mission, code-named Boston, 82nd Division, and Albany, 101st Division, was to capture Cherbourg, the coastal city in Normandy that would serve as the Allied supply port once the infantry and support units had come ashore later on June 6th. Paratroopers were also responsible for blocking approaches into the vicinity of the amphibious landings at Utah Beach, led by U.S. 4th Division, as well as capturing causeway exits off the beach and establishing crossings over the Douve River to assist the U.S. 5th Corps in conjoining the two American beachheads on Omaha and Utah. A smaller contingent of British paratroopers, 6th Airborne Division, was also incorporated into Neptune. It jumped around the same time as the American airborne divisions. Its mission was to protect the left flank of Sword Beach by seizing key points, bridges, and terrain in an area about 5 miles wide and 7 miles deep between the Orne and Dives rivers. As important as these objectives seemed in planning for Overlord, all eyes were riveted on the 82nd and 101st Divisions that day. Ridgway's and Taylor's missions proved difficult and costly. Only part of the story is what occurred when just over 13,000 American paratroopers hit the ground, beaches, swamps, hedgerows, and trees. German resistance was immediate, depending on where the paratroopers landed. Initial casualties were high, and the deaths included a significant loss of commanding officers. More than a few airborne soldiers were immediately taken prisoner by the Germans, and their accounts of capture, and in many cases escape with help from French civilians, add drama to the story. Shortly after they landed, the paratroopers were met by gliders with reinforcements, anti-tank equipment, jeeps, and artillery. The gliders had an even more difficult time landing at the designated zones. They were like clay pigeons to the German gunners. The flimsy planes that escaped anti-aircraft fire still had to contend with obstacles such as poles and flooded marshland. The story.
To keep listening to this audiobook, I've left you a link in the description so you can do it at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.